My parents told me I wasn't welcome at my sister's wedding. Not because I'd done anything wrong, but because the truth I knew could ruin everything they'd built. The call came on a Tuesday evening. I was in my apartment in Atlanta, microwaving leftover pasta, when my mother's name lit up my phone screen. For a split second, I thought maybe she was calling to ask about bridesmaid dress alterations or seating charts. Maybe, for once, I'd be included in something that mattered. "Caroline, we need to talk," my mother said. No greeting, no warmth, just that tone, the one she used when I'd disappointed her, which was basically always. "What's going on, Mom?" "Your father and I have discussed this extensively, and we've decided it's best if you don't attend Victoria's wedding." The words hit me like a physical blow. I set down my fork, suddenly unable to swallow. What? What are you talking about?" "You've been very negative lately," she continued, as if reading from a script. "You're jealous of your sister's happiness. And frankly, we can't risk you causing a scene on her special day. This is what's best for everyone." I stood there, frozen, phone pressed against my ear, trying to process what I was hearing. My sister's wedding was in 3 weeks. The invitations had gone out months ago. My name was on one of them. And now I was being uninvited from my own sister's wedding, like I was some toxic ex-boyfriend. "Mom, I haven't done anything. I've been nothing but supportive." "That's not how we see it, Caroline. Every time we talk about the wedding, you make comments. You've been difficult your entire life, and we're not going to let you ruin Victoria's moment." Difficult. That word again. Growing up, anytime I questioned why Vicky got a new car for her 16th birthday while I got a bus pass, I was difficult. When I asked why they paid for her private college in full while I had to take out loans for state school, I was ungrateful. When I wondered aloud why family photos always seemed to feature Vicky front and center while I was cropped out or standing in the back, I was creating drama. "I'm her sister," I whispered, hating how small my voice sounded. "I should be there." "You should have thought about that before you became so bitter," my father's voice cut in. He'd been on speakerphone this whole time, silent until now. "This decision is final, Caroline. Don't make this harder than it needs to be." "Harder for who?" I asked, but the line was already dead. I stood in my tiny kitchen, staring at my phone, waiting for it to ring again, waiting for them to call back and say it was a mistake, a misunderstanding, a cruel joke. But the phone stayed silent. The truth was, this wasn't new. This was the culmination of 28 years of being the spare child, the backup, the one who didn't quite measure up. Vicky had always been the golden child. Prettier, more charming. Better at saying exactly what our parents wanted to hear. She got the ballet lessons, while I got told we couldn't afford extracurriculars. She got the bedroom with the bay window, while I got the converted storage room. She got their pride, while I got their tolerance. But this? Being banned from her wedding, this was a new level of erasure. I thought about all the times I'd swallowed my hurt, all the times I'd smiled through family dinners, where Vicky's accomplishments were celebrated while mine were met with polite nods. I thought about every birthday where her gifts came wrapped in expensive paper, while mine came with receipts still attached, just in case I wanted to return them for something more practical. Welcome to Revenge Bite. Where are you watching from? If you've ever felt invisible in your own family, hit that like button and subscribe. You're not alone here. Now, back to the story. I called Vicky directly. Maybe this was Mom and Dad's idea and she didn't know. Maybe she'd fight for me. "Hey, Carrie," she answered, and I could hear wedding planning chaos in the background. People talking, music playing. "Vicky, Mom and Dad just called. They said I can't come to your wedding." Silent. The cost. She was right about that. I had made comments about the cost, about the $15,000 dress, the destination bachelorette party in Savannah, the ice sculpture shaped like swans, but not because I was jealous, because I was confused about where all that money was coming from. Our parents weren't wealthy. Dad worked in middle management. Mom was a part-time bookkeeper. When I'd asked about college funding, they'd said there wasn't enough money. When I'd needed help with my car repair last year, they'd said their budget was tight. But for Vicky's wedding, suddenly money was no object. "I'm sorry you feel that way," I said quietly. "I hope you have a beautiful wedding, Vicky." "Thanks, Carrie. I knew you'd understand." She hung up before I could say anything else. I sat down on my apartment floor, back against the kitchen cabinet, and cried. Not pretty crying. The ugly, gasping kind that comes from somewhere deep and primal. I cried for the little girl who'd been excited to be a big sister, who'd thought having a sibling meant having a built-in best friend. I cried for the teenager who'd watched her sister get everything while she got the leftovers. I cried for the adult I'd become, still desperate for crumbs of love from people who'd made it clear I was disposable. When the tears finally stopped, I sat in the quiet of my apartment and realized something. I'd been trying my whole life to earn a place at a table where there was never going to be a seat for me. Maybe it was time to stop begging for an invitation. 3 days passed. I called in sick to work. I was a graphic designer for a small marketing firm, and thankfully, my boss was understanding. I spent those days cycling through emotions like channels on TV: anger, sadness, numbness, rage, grief. My friend Jasmine came over with wine and takeout, let me vent, told me my family was toxic and I deserved better. But knowing you deserve better and actually believing it are two different things. On Friday morning, I was going through my email, deleting promotional spam, when I saw a notification from Peachtree Community Bank. It was from an account I hadn't thought about in years, a savings account my grandmother had set up for me when I was 12. Grandma Marge had been the only person in my family who'd ever made me feel seen. She died 6 years ago, and when she did, she'd left me that savings account. It had about $50,000 in it. Money she'd saved her whole life, money she'd wanted me to use for college, or a down payment on a house, or whatever I needed to build a good life. I'd checked it obsessively during college, watching the balance, feeling grateful that at least someone had thought I was worth investing in. But after graduation, after I'd scraped together loans and grants and work-study paychecks to get my degree, I'd sort of forgotten about it. I knew it was there, my safety net, collecting interest. I figured I'd use it someday for a house down payment, or maybe to start my own design business. The email was a low balance alert. My heart stopped. Low balance? That account had over $47,000 the last time I'd checked, which admittedly had been over a year ago. My hand shook as I logged into the account. Balance: $2,847.63. I stared at the screen, convinced there was a mistake. There had to be a mistake. But when I clicked on the transaction history, the truth loaded line by line, a horror story written in debits and dates. Withdrawal, $5,000, January 15th, 18 months ago. Withdrawal, $8,000, March 22nd, 18 months ago. Withdrawal, $12,000, June 10th, 17 months ago. Withdrawal, $7.500, September 3rd, 16 months ago. Withdrawal, $9.200, December 1st, 15 months ago. On dozens of withdrawals over the past year and a half, draining my grandmother's gift like someone was bleeding me dry. And next to each withdrawal in the authorized by column, Diane Mitchell, Robert Mitchell. My parents? The room tilted. I gripped the edge of my desk, trying to breathe, trying to make sense of what I was seeing. They had access to this account because they'd been co-signers when I was a minor. I'd assumed they'd removed themselves when I turned 18, but apparently they hadn't. And apparently, they'd been helping themselves to my money. $47,000. Gone. I cross-referenced the dates with my calendar, my social media, anything I could remember. January. You stole from me, I said, my voice shaking. You stole $47,000 from my account. From Grandma's account. The money she left for M.E. Silence on the other end. Then, I don't know what you're talking about. Don't lie to me, I shouted. I'm looking at the transaction history right now. Your name is on every single withdrawal. You and Dad. You've been draining my account for over a year. That money was always meant for family needs, my mother said, her voice cold and measured. Your grandmother would have wanted it used to help the family. Help the family? You used it for Vicky's wedding. For her dress, her venue, probably her honeymoon. That wasn't family money, Mom. That was my money. You're being selfish, Caroline. Your sister deserves a beautiful wedding. She's worked so hard and she's marrying a wonderful man. We did what we thought was best. Best for who? I screamed. You stole from me. That's theft. My father's voice cut in, sharp and authoritative. You need to calm down right now. You're hysterical. This is exactly why we can't have you at the wedding. You're unstable. I'm unstable? You stole $50,000 from me and I'm the unstable one? That money was in an account we had access to, he said. Legally, we did nothing wrong. And frankly, after everything we've done for you, you owe us. We raised you, fed you, put a roof over your head. This is the least you can do for your sister. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think. The gaslighting was so complete, so seamless, that for a second I almost believed them. Almost. I'm calling a lawyer, I said. You do that, my mother replied. And while you're at it, maybe get a therapist too. You clearly need help. The line went dead. I sat there, phone in hand, shaking with adrenaline and fury and heartbreak. They'd stolen from me. They'd stolen my future, my security, my grandmother's final gift. And then they'd banned me from my sister's wedding because I was difficult. If you're listening right now, help me prove something wrong. My mother said I wouldn't even reach 100 subscribers, but I believe stories like this deserve to be heard. Help me show her that these tales matter. Please, subscribe. I looked at my laptop screen, at the transaction history still glowing there, like evidence at a crime scene. And that's when the idea started to form. They wanted me silent. They wanted me absent. They wanted me to disappear so they could have their perfect day, funded by money they'd stolen from me. Fine. I'd be absent, but I wouldn't be silent. I opened a new folder on my desktop and titled it The Gift. Then I started taking screenshots. Every transaction. Every date. Every withdrawal with my parents. Names attached. I downloaded bank statements going back 2 years. I organized everything into a timeline. Then I opened my text message history with Vicky. I scrolled back through months of conversations, looking for anything that might prove she knew. And there, buried in a group chat from 8 months ago, a conversation between Vicky, my mom, and an unknown number that I realized was probably a wedding planner. I found it. Vicky, so the final payment for the venue is due next week. That's $12,000. Can you cover it? Mom, we'll take care of it. We have access to some savings. Vicky, what about Carrie? Won't she notice? Mom, she never checks that account, and even if she does, it's family money. She'll understand. Vicky, and if she doesn't? Mom, then she'll get over it. She always does. This is your day, sweetheart. You deserve this. Vicky, you're right. She'll get over it. I read it 3 times. 4, 5. She knew. My sister knew they were stealing from me, and she'd encouraged it. I took a screenshot of that, too. Then, I sat back in my chair and stared at the evidence spread across my screen. I had everything. bank records, text messages, a clear timeline of theft and betrayal. I could go to the police. I could sue them. I could burn their lives to the ground through the legal system. But lawsuits take time, months, maybe years. And by then, the wedding would be over. The photos would be posted. The lies would be set in stone. They'd tell everyone I was bitter, jealous, unstable. They'd paint me. I didn't sleep that night. Or the next. I sat at my kitchen table with my laptop, 3 energy drinks, and a clarity I hadn't felt in years. For the first time in my life, I wasn't trying to make myself smaller, quieter, more palatable. I was done shrinking. The gift had to be perfect, not vindictive. I wasn't interested in cruelty for cruelty's sake, but truthful, undeniable, something that would speak for me when I couldn't be in the room. I started with the bank statements. I printed every single transaction from the past 18 months, highlighted my parents' names in yellow, and organized them chronologically. $47,216. That's what they'd taken. I made sure the total was visible at the bottom of the last page, circled in red. Then I created a cover page, simple, professional, just the facts. To whom it may concern, these are bank statements from an account established by Margaret Mitchell for her granddaughter, Caroline Mitchell, in 2010. The account had a balance of $50,000 at the time of Margaret's death in 2020. As of May 2025, the balance is $2,847.63. All withdrawals were made by Diane and Robert Mitchell without the account holder's knowledge or consent. Total amount taken, $47,216.00. Note the dates. They correspond directly with Victoria Mitchell's wedding planning timeline. I slid the statements into the first envelope and sealed it. Envelope 1, the evidence. Next came the screenshots. The group chat, where Vicky explicitly acknowledged the theft. I enlarged the text, made sure every word was legible, and printed it on glossy photo paper so it wouldn't look like some grainy, doctored image. I included screenshots of my mother's contact info, Vicky's profile picture, timestamps, everything that proved authenticity. Then I printed other texts too, ones I'd almost forgotten about. Messages from my mother over the years. Victoria needs help with her car payment this month. Can you cover it? You know how hard she's working. Your sister is having a tough time. Maybe don't mention your promotion at dinner tonight. You know how sensitive she is. We're taking Victoria to Hilton Head for her birthday. There's not enough room in the car for you, but we'll celebrate with you another time. That other time never came. I organized these into a collage titled The Pattern, A History of Favoritism, 2015 to 2025. It wasn't just about the money. It was about a lifetime of being erased. Envelope 2, the truth they didn't want me to speak. The third envelope was the hardest. This one was personal. This one required me to be vulnerable in front of people who'd never given me grace. And that terrified me more than their anger ever could. I pulled out the nice stationery I'd ordered. Cream-colored, elegant, the kind you'd use for a heartfelt wedding card. And I started writing by hand, not typing. This needed to feel human. Dear Victoria, since I was not allowed to speak at your wedding, since I was not even allowed to attend, I chose the only way left for my voice to be present, the truth. For 28 years, I have tried to be the sister you needed. I cheered for you at every recital, every graduation, every milestone. I stayed quiet. When Mom and Dad gave you opportunities, they denied me. I swallowed my hurt when you got the college fund, the car, the bedroom, with the window that faced the garden. I told myself it didn't matter, that love wasn't a competition, that maybe I just had to try harder to earn the kind of it. I'm not trying to ruin your wedding. I'm trying to stop being invisible. I don't hate you, Vicky. I hate that you never once looked at me and saw someone worth protecting. I hate that I've spent my whole life competing in a game you didn't even know we were playing because you were always going to win. I hope your marriage is everything you dreamed of. I hope Brandon loves you the way I always hoped you'd love me, unconditionally, without scorekeeping, without theft. But I also hope, someday, you understand why I had to do this. Your sister, Caroline. My hands shook as I folded the letter. I read it 5 more times, wondering if I should soften it, make it less raw. But no, this was the truth. If I was going to do this, I had to do it honestly. Envelope 3. My voice. I placed all 3 envelopes into the wooden gift box I'd ordered. It was beautiful. Dark cherry wood with brass hinges, the kind of box you'd keep forever. I tied it with an ivory ribbon and attached a card that read, "To my beloved sister, with all the love you deserve, Carrie." The wording was deliberate, ambiguous. It could be read as sincere or scathing, depending on what was inside. Then came the logistics. I couldn't just mail it to my parents' house. They'd intercept it. I needed it delivered directly to the venue. I called the event coordinator at the Biltmore Ballroom, the ridiculously expensive venue my parents had booked in downtown Atlanta. "Hi, this is Caroline Mitchell," I said, forcing my voice to sound cheerful. "I'm the bride's sister, and I won't be able to attend the wedding due to a family emergency. I'd like to send a special gift directly to the venue. Is that possible?" The coordinator was sweet, sympathetic. "Of course. We can hold it with the other gifts and make sure it's presented." My cousin Rachel had posted a photo from the bridal suite at the Biltmore. "The most beautiful bride I've ever seen. So honored to celebrate this day with you at Vicky Mitchell. Ring sparkles." Vicky looked stunning. Of course she did. Her dress was the $15,000 Vera Wang, all lace and crystals, and that train that probably cost more than my car. Her hair was perfect. Her makeup was flawless. She looked like a princess. I felt sick. More posts rolled in throughout the morning. Aunts, uncles, family friends, all gathering at the venue. The ceremony was at 2, the reception at 5. I checked the time, 9:47 a.m., less than 8 hours until the gift reveal. I tried to distract myself. I went for a run, cleaned my apartment, started 3 different Netflix shows and couldn't focus on any of them. Around noon, my phone buzzed with a text from Jasmine. "Jasmine, how are you holding up?" Me, "I don't know. Terrified? Nauseous?" Jasmine, "Do you want me to come over?" I thought about it. Having Jasmine here would be comforting, but it would also make this more real. Right now, I could still pretend this was all happening in some alternate dimension, that I wasn't actually about to detonate my entire family. Me, "I think I need to be alone, but thank you." Jasmine, "Okay, I'm here if you need me. And Carrie, what they did to you was wrong. Don't forget that." I stared at her message for a long time. Was this wrong? Was I about to ruin my sister's wedding out of spite? Or was I finally standing up for myself after a lifetime of being trampled? I didn't know anymore. At 1:30 p.m., the ceremony posts started. Instagram stories of Vicky walking down the aisle, my father beaming with pride as he held her arm, her vows, Brandon's vows, the kiss, the cheers. I watched every single story, hating myself for it. And then I saw the post that made my blood turn to ice. It was from my mother's account, a photo of the decorated reception hall, with the caption, "So grateful to celebrate our beautiful daughter today. Family is everything." Red heart. Family is everything. The irony was so sharp it could cut. But it was the comments that destroyed me. Person after person writing, "Where's Caroline? Miss seeing her there. And my mother's responses, unfortunately, Caroline is dealing with some personal issues and couldn't make it. We're sending her love. 2 hearts. Personal issues. That's what she'd told everyone. Not that they'd banned me, not that they'd stolen from me. Just that I had personal issues. Code for mentally unstable, emotional. At 6:45, Jasmine texted, "They're about to do gifts. I'm positioning myself near the stage." My heart was pounding so hard I thought I might pass out. At 7:03, my phone buzzed. Jasmine, "Oh my God, Carrie." Me, "What? What's happening?" Jasmine, "The MC just announced their opening. A special gift from the bride's sister who couldn't be here tonight. Vicky's walking up to the stage now." I sat down on my couch, phone gripped in both hands, unable to breathe. Jasmine, "She's opening it. The box is really pretty. People are taking photos." Jasmine, "She just pulled out the first envelope. She's reading the label out loud." Jasmine, "Carrie, her face just changed. She's reading the bank statements." Jasmine, "Your mom and dad are trying to get to the stage. People are confused." Jasmine, "She just opened the second envelope, the screenshots. Oh my God, she's crying." Jasmine, "People are gasping. Brandon looks pissed. His mom just stood up." Jasmine, "Vicky's opening the letter now. She's reading it out loud. Carrie, everyone can hear." My vision blurred. I couldn't tell if I was crying, or if the room was spinning, or if I was having a panic attack. Probably all 3. Jasmine, "Hold on, I'm recording this." 30 seconds later, a video came through. My hands shook as I pressed play. The video was shaky, filmed from the back of the reception hall, but I could see everything. The stage. The microphone. Vicky, in her Vera Wang dress, holding my letter, her face streaked with mascara. And behind her, my parents, frozen halfway up the stage steps, looking like they'd just been hit by a truck. Vicky's voice, broken and trembling, read my words aloud. "Since I was not allowed to speak at your wedding, since I was not even allowed to attend, I chose the only way left for my voice to be present, the truth." The room was dead silent. She kept reading, every word, every accusation, every ounce of pain I'd poured into that letter. And with every sentence, the silence grew heavier, sharper, more suffocating. When she got to the part about the stolen money, someone in the crowd shouted, $47,000? Are you serious?" My mother's voice, shrill and defensive. "This is a lie. Caroline is mentally unstable. She's making this up." But then someone else, I recognized the voice as Aunt Ruth, my grandmother's sister, stood up and shouted back, "Don't you dare! Marge told me she left that money for Caroline. I was there when she set up that account." The room erupted. Please subscribe to Revenge Bite, and let's keep breathing life into stories that were never meant to stay silent. Now, let's continue. Jasmine's video cut off, but the texts kept coming. Jasmine, "Brandon's mom just walked out. He's following her." Jasmine, Vicky dropped the letter. "She's just standing there, frozen." Jasmine, "Your dad is yelling at people to calm down. No one's listening." Jasmine, "Half the room is arguing. The other half is leaving. Carrie, the wedding is falling apart." I dropped my phone. I'd done it. I'd actually done it. And I had no idea if I'd just freed myself or destroyed everything. The video Jasmine sent played on a loop in my mind even after I'd watched it 20 times. I sat on my couch, phone clutched in my hand, alternating between nausea and a strange, hollow vindication. At 7:34 p.m., another text came through. "Jasmine, calling you now, pick up." My phone rang. I answered. "Carrie!" Jasmine's voice was breathless, like she'd been running. "I had to go outside. It's absolute chaos in there." "Tell me everything," I whispered. Okay, so after Vicky read your letter, God, Carrie, that letter, the room just exploded. Brandon's mother, Patricia, she stood up and said something like, I will not sit here and watch my son marry into a family of thieves. She grabbed Brandon's arm and tried to leave, but Brandon just stood there on the stage looking at Vicky like he'd never seen her before. What did Vicky do? She was frozen. Like, completely frozen, just standing there with the letter in her hands, mascara running down her face. Your mom rushed the stage and tried to grab the microphone, started yelling that you were lying, that you doctored the bank statements, that you've always been jealous of Vicky. But then Aunt Ruth. I heard her in the video, I said. Aunt Ruth went off. She stood up with her cane. And I swear to God, Carrie, she looked like she was about to hit someone with it. She shouted that your grandmother specifically told her about that college fund, that she'd made Ruth promise to make sure you got it if anything happened to her. She called your parents thieves right there in front of everyone. I closed my eyes, picturing Aunt Ruth, Grandma Marge's younger sister, 83 years old, 4'11" of pure Southern Baptist fury. Then what? Then your dad tried to defend them. He said something about how they'd raised you, how they'd provided for you your whole life, how you owed them. And this older guy, I think it was Brandon's father, stood up and said, you don't steal from your own child to pay for a wedding. That's not providing, that's theft. People started choosing sides. Some of your mom's friends were defending her, saying families share resources, but most people looked horrified. Where's Vicky now? Last I saw, she was being led off the stage by one of her bridesmaids. Brandon followed her, but his mom pulled him back. I heard her say something like, we need to talk. Now, they left together. Carrie, I think he might call off the marriage. My stomach dropped. I didn't want that, did I? The DJ stopped the music, Jasmine continued. People are either leaving or standing in groups arguing. Your parents are in the corner with some family members. Your mom is crying. Your dad keeps pointing at people and yelling. It's a disaster. Good, I said, but my voice cracked on the word. Is it? Jasmine asked softly. Carrie, are you okay? Was I okay? I'd just blown up my sister's wedding, exposed my parents as thieves in front of 200 people, and potentially destroyed a marriage before it even started. I should have felt powerful, righteous, vindicated. Instead, I felt like I was falling through empty space with nothing to catch me. I don't know, I admitted. I needed them to know. I needed everyone to know what they did to me. They know, Jasmine said. Trust me, everyone knows. We stayed on the phone for another 10 minutes while Jasmine gave me updates. More guests leaving, the caterers looking confused about whether to serve dinner, someone demanding a refund from the venue coordinator. Brandon's family gathered in a corner, having what looked like a very serious conversation. And Vicky, locked in the bridal suite, refusing to come out. When we finally hung up, I sat in the silence of my apartment and tried to process what I'd done. There was no going back now. No apology I could offer. No way to stuff the truth back into that cherry wood box and pretend it had never been opened. I'd wanted to be heard. I'd wanted my voice to matter. I'd hurt her. I'd meant to, and I had. The question was, did she deserve it? At 3 a.m., my phone buzzed. A text from a number I didn't recognize. Unknown. This is Brandon. Can we talk? My heart stopped. Brandon Hayes, Vicky's groom, or maybe ex-groom now, was texting me at 3 in the morning. I typed and deleted 5 different responses before finally settling on, me? Okay. My phone rang immediately. Caroline? His voice was calm, measured, nothing like the chaos I'd expected. Yes. I need you to tell me the truth. All of it. Not the letter, not the bank statements. I need to hear it from you. Did your parents really steal $47,000 from you to pay for our wedding? I took a breath. Yes. And Victoria knew? Yes. I have the screenshots. She knew they were taking my money, and she told them I'd get over it. Silence on the other end. Then, why weren't you at the wedding? The real reason. They banned me 3 weeks ago. My parents called and told me I wasn't invited because I was too negative, and they couldn't risk me causing a scene. Vicky agreed with them. More silence. I could hear him breathing, could almost hear him thinking. My mother is very traditional, he said finally, very big on family values, honesty, integrity. When she saw those bank statements, when she heard Aunt Ruth confirm the money was yours, she lost it. She told me she didn't raise me to marry someone who would condone theft from their own family. I'm sorry, I said, and I was surprised to find that I meant it. Don't be. You did me a favor. His voice wasn't angry, just tired. I've been with Vicky for 3 years. I knew your family had issues. She mentioned you weren't close, but she always made it sound like you were the problem. The jealous sister, the black sheep. I believed her because I loved her, and you believe the people you love, right? Right, I whispered. But tonight, when she read that letter, when I saw the proof, I realized she'd been lying to me. About you, about the money, about who she really was. And I can't, his voice cracked. I can't build a marriage on that foundation. Did you call it off? We're on hold. I told her I needed time to think, that we needed to postpone everything until we figured this out. She's devastated. Your parents are furious. They're threatening to sue you for defamation, emotional distress, all kinds of things. Of course they were. My mom wants to meet you, Brandon continued. She feels terrible about what happened to you. She said any family that would treat their own daughter that way doesn't deserve to have her at their table. I started crying. I didn't mean to, but Patricia Hayes, a woman I'd never met, a woman who owed me nothing, had just said the words I'd been waiting my entire life for my own mother to say. Thank you, I managed. Tell her thank you. She's a good woman. You'd like her. He paused. Listen, Caroline, I don't know what's going to happen with me and Vicky. I don't know if I can forgive her for this. But I do know that what you did tonight, exposing the truth, that took guts. Maybe it wasn't the right way to do it, but I understand why you did. Do you hate me? I asked. No, he said simply. I hate that I've been lied to. I hate that I almost married someone without knowing who they really were. But you? You just told the truth. That's not something to hate. We talked for another 20 minutes. He told me about the aftermath, how Vicky had locked herself in the bridal suite and refused to talk to anyone except her bridesmaids. How my parents had tried to convince everyone that I was mentally ill, that the documents were fake, how Aunt Ruth had threatened to call the police if they didn't shut up. How the wedding had officially ended around 9 p.m. with half the guests gone and the other half standing around in shocked clusters, gossiping about the scandal. When we hung up, I felt something I hadn't expected. Relief. Not joy, not triumph, just relief that at least one person understood. At 6 a.m., Jasmine texted, Vicky just posted something. You need to see this. I opened Instagram with shaking hands. It was a photo of Vicky in her wedding dress, sitting on the floor of what looked like the bridal suite, mascara streaked and broken. The caption read, Tonight was supposed to be the happiest day of my life. Instead, it became the day I learned that the people I trusted most, my parents, my family, built my dream on someone else's nightmare. I don't have the words yet to process what happened. I don't know how to fix this. But to my sister, Caroline, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I should have protected you. Instead, I took from you. And I will spend the rest of my life trying to make that right. I read it 5 times, trying to find the manipulation, the spin, the way she'd make herself the victim. But it wasn't there. It was just honest, raw, broken. The comments were already rolling in, hundreds of them. Most were supportive of Vicky, but a significant number weren't. Maybe you should have thought about that before you stole from your sister. Apologizing on Instagram doesn't give her back what you took. You knew. You knew and you let it happen. That's not a mistake, that's a choice. But there were also comments directed at me. Caroline, if you're reading this, you're a hero. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Sometimes the only way to stop being invisible is to force people to see you. Well done. This took courage. I hope you get every penny back. I closed Instagram and stared at my ceiling. Vicky had apologized. Publicly. In front of everyone who'd witnessed the disaster. It should have felt like victory. Instead, it just felt like the beginning of something I couldn't take back. My phone rang again. Another unknown number. I answered cautiously. Is this Caroline Mitchell? A woman's voice, crisp and professional. Yes? This is Patricia Hayes, Brandon's mother. I hope it's not too early to call, but I wanted to reach out personally. I heard what happened to you, and I want you to know. If you need help recovering that money, if you need legal support, my husband and I would like to help. What your parents did was unconscionable, and you deserve justice. I sat up, shocked. Why would you help me? Because family isn't about blood, sweetheart. It's about who shows up for you when you need them most. And from what I can see, your family failed you, so let's make this right. For the second time that night, I cried. But this time, they weren't tears of rage or grief. They were tears of gratitude that, somewhere in the wreckage of everything I destroyed, someone had finally seen me. The first 48 hours after the wedding were a blur of phone calls, legal threats, and messages from relatives I hadn't heard from in years. Some were supportive, most were not. My Uncle Gerald called Sunday morning, furious. How could you do that to your sister? On her wedding day, Caroline? That's unforgivable. I'd stopped trying to explain. She stole from me, Uncle Gerald. Family helps family. That money should have been shared anyway. Your grandmother would be ashamed of you. I hung up before he could say anything else. But for every Gerald, there was an Aunt Ruth. She called Sunday afternoon, her voice strong despite her age. I am so proud of you, baby girl. Your grandma would be proud too. Don't you let them make you feel guilty for telling the truth. You hear me? I hear you, I whispered. Your parents called me this morning. Tried to tell me I'd betrayed the family by speaking up. I told them the only betrayal was what they did to you. I told them Marge would haunt them for the rest of their lives if she knew. I smiled despite everything. Thank you, Aunt Ruth. You come see me next week. We'll have sweet tea and talk about what comes next. And baby, don't you dare back down now. I wouldn't. I couldn't. Monday morning, I received a certified letter from my parents' attorney. Cease and desist. Defamation. Emotional distress. They were threatening to sue me for $100,000 unless I issued a public apology and retraction. I called the lawyer Patricia Hayes had recommended, a sharp woman named Alicia Chen, who specialized in family law and financial abuse. Let me see the letter, she said when I arrived at her office in Midtown. I handed it over. She read it, her expression unchanging, then set it down and looked at me. This is garbage, pure intimidation. They have no case. You have bank statements, transaction records, witness testimony from your great-aunt, and written evidence that your sister knew about the theft. They're not going to sue you. They're trying to scare you into silence. What do? We countersue. Financial elder abuse. Your grandmother's money was taken without the beneficiary's knowledge or consent. We go after full restitution plus damages. And if they want to keep threatening you, we file a police report for theft. My hands shook. Will that work? Absolutely, Caroline. What they did was illegal. They had access to your account as co-signers for custodial purposes when you were a minor. That authority ended the day you turned 18. Every withdrawal they made after that, without your explicit permission, was theft. Period. How long will this take? If they're smart, they'll settle out of court. Nobody wants this kind of thing on record, especially not people who seem very concerned with their image. I'd guess 2 to 3 months, maybe less. I signed the retainer agreement that afternoon. Alicia filed the countersuit Wednesday morning. By Wednesday evening, my mother called me for the first time since the wedding. I let it go to voicemail. Caroline, this is your mother. I don't know what you think you're accomplishing with this lawsuit, but you are tearing this family apart. Your father had a heart scare yesterday from the stress you've caused. Victoria hasn't left her apartment in days. Brandon has called off the wedding indefinitely. Are you happy now? Are you satisfied? You've destroyed your sister's life over money. Money, Caroline. I thought I raised you better than this. Call me. We need to fix this before it's too late. I saved the voicemail. Alicia said it might be useful. Evidence of manipulation and guilt tripping. I didn't call her back. Thursday, Vicky texted me. The first direct communication since the wedding. Vicky, can we talk, please? Me, I don't think that's a good idea. Vicky, Carrie, please? I know I messed up. I know I hurt you. But you're my sister. Can we just talk? I stared at the message for 20 minutes. Part of me wanted to hear what she had to say. Part of me wanted to scream at her until my voice gave out. Part of me just wanted to never speak to any of them again. Me, not yet. Maybe not ever. I need time. Vicky, I understand, but I really am sorry. For whatever that's worth. Devastated. But she'll survive. We both will. He paused. My mom still wants to meet you, by the way. She's been asking about you all week. I'd like that, I said, and meant it. Good. I'll set something up. And, Caroline, thank you for telling me the truth before I made the biggest mistake of my life. 2 weeks after the wedding, Alicia called with an update. They want to settle. Full restitution of $47, $216, plus $15,000 in damages and all legal fees. They're also willing to sign an agreement that they'll have no further access to any of your financial accounts and will not contact you unless you initiate contact first. They agreed to that? Their lawyer convinced them they'd lose in court and it would be even more expensive. Plus, a trial would be public record. Permanent. They don't want that. So it's over? Almost? We need you to review and sign the settlement agreement. They'll sign, and the money will be transferred within 30 days. After that, yes, it's over. I signed the papers that afternoon. $62,000. Everything Grandma Marge had left me, plus damages for what they'd put me through. It should have felt like justice. Mostly, it just felt like the end of something I'd never get back. 3 weeks after the wedding, I met Patricia Hayes for coffee at a little cafe in Buckhead. She was elegant, warm, the kind of woman who made you feel seen the moment she looked at you. Thank you for coming, she said, reaching across the table to squeeze my hand. I've been wanting to meet you. Thank you for helping me. You didn't have to do that. Of course I did. What happened to you was wrong, and I need you to know none of this is your fault. Not the wedding, not the breakup, none of it. You simply told the truth. The consequences of that truth are on the people who lied. We talked for 2 hours. About family, about betrayal, about what it means to choose yourself when everyone tells you you're being selfish. Brandon's doing okay, she said. He's hurt, but he'll heal. And honestly, I think you saved him from something that would have broken him eventually. I didn't mean to ruin the wedding." "You didn't ruin anything, sweetheart. They did. You just made sure everyone knew about it." When we parted ways, she hugged me tight and whispered, "You're stronger than you know. Don't let anyone make you feel small again." I cried the whole drive home. But this time, they were good tears. 4 months after the wedding that never was, I received the settlement check, $62,000, deposited into a new bank account that only I had access to. I stared at the balance on my phone screen for a long time, trying to feel something: relief, vindication, closure. Instead, I just felt tired. The money was mine again. The legal battle was over. My parents had signed an agreement promising not to contact me, and they'd kept that promise. As far as I knew, they'd told their friends I'd had a breakdown, that I'd become unstable, that they were praying for me. The narrative they'd created made them the victims and me the villain, just like always. But I didn't care anymore. The people who mattered knew the truth. I paid off my student loans first, $38,000, gone in one transaction. It felt surreal, watching that debt disappear, knowing I'd spent years. I was building something mine, something no one could take from me. Jasmine came over one Saturday to help me hang art in my new place. We stood back, admiring a print I'd bought from a local artist. A woman emerging from water, arms raised, face tilted toward the sun. "It's very symbolic," Jasmine said with a grin. "Shut up," I laughed. "I'm serious. You're like reborn, rising from the ashes. Very Phoenix energy." Maybe she was right. Maybe I had been reborn, the old Caroline, the one who'd spent her whole life making herself smaller, quieter, easier to ignore. She was gone. I didn't miss her. In late September, Vicky reached out again. Not a text this time, an email. Long, rambling, full of apologies and explanations and regret. She was in therapy. She'd moved out of our parents' house. She was working 2 jobs to save money because our parents had cut her off financially after the settlement. Brandon had moved to Charlotte for a new job, and they hadn't spoken in months. "I don't expect you to forgive me," she wrote. "I don't even know if I deserve forgiveness, but I need you to know that I see now what I couldn't see then. I see how much I hurt you, how much they hurt you, and how much I enabled it because it was easier than standing up to them. I was a coward, Carrie, and I'm sorry." I read the email 3 times. I didn't respond. Maybe someday I would. Maybe someday I'd be ready to have a relationship with my sister again, or at least a conversation. But not yet. The wound was still too fresh, and I'd learned the hard way that forgiveness I wasn't ready to give only hurt me more. In October, Aunt Ruth invited me to Sunday dinner. Just the 2 of us, at her little house in Decatur, with the garden Grandma Marge used to help her tend. "Your grandma would be so proud of you," she said over fried chicken and collard greens, "not just for getting your money back, for standing up, for refusing to disappear." "I don't know if I did the right thing," I admitted. "Sometimes I wonder if I should have just walked away, filed a police report quietly, not destroyed everything publicly." "You did what you needed to do to be heard," Aunt Ruth said firmly. "And baby, sometimes the only way to stop being invisible is to make noise, loud noise." I hurt people. You told the truth. If the truth hurt them, that's because they did something worth hurting over. We sat in her garden afterward, drinking sweet tea and watching the fireflies. She told me stories about Grandma Marge, about how she'd been a firecracker, a woman who didn't take disrespect from anyone, who'd worked 2 jobs to raise her kids and still found time to make everyone feel loved. "She saw you, Caroline," Aunt Ruth said. "She saw how they treated you, and it broke her heart. That's why she left you that money." She wanted you to have something they couldn't touch, something that was just yours. They touched it anyway. But you got it back. You fought for it. That's what matters. If you're listening right now, help me prove something wrong. My mother said I wouldn't even reach 100 subscribers, but I believe stories like this deserve to be heard. Help me show her that these tales matter. Please subscribe. By November, I'd stopped checking my parents' social media. I'd stopped looking for updates about Vicky. I'd stopped waiting for an apology that would never come. I focused on my business, on my new apartment, on my friendship with Jasmine, and my growing relationship with Patricia Hayes, who'd become something of a mentor to me. We met for coffee once a month, and she gave me advice on everything from business to boundaries to believing I was worth more than scraps. You know what I admire most about you, she said one afternoon? You didn't just survive what they did to you. You decided you were done surviving and started living. That takes courage. In December, on what would have been Grandma Marge's 85th birthday, I drove out to her grave. I hadn't been there since the funeral 6 years ago. I'd been too hurt, too angry at the world, too convinced that nothing good would ever last. I brought flowers, sunflowers, her favorite, and sat on the grass next to her headstone. I got the money back, Grandma, I said out loud, not caring if anyone heard me. All of it, and I used it the way you wanted me to build something good, something mine. The wind rustled through the trees, and for a moment I swore I could feel her there, proud and fierce and loving. I'm okay now, I whispered. I'm finally okay. On New Year's Eve, Jasmine threw a party at my loft. 20 people, most of whom I'd met in the past 6 months through my business or my new neighborhood. People who didn't know my history, who didn't see me as the girl whose family betrayed her. Just Caroline, the graphic designer with the cool apartment and the infectious laugh. At midnight, we toasted to new beginnings. To surviving the worst year of your life, Jasmine said, raising her glass. To surviving, I agreed. And to never apologizing for taking up space again. We clinked glasses, and I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. I thought about the girl I'd been a year ago, desperate for love from people who'd never give it, willing to shrink herself into nothing just to be tolerated. I thought about the phone call that had started everything, the ban from the wedding, the discovery of the theft. I thought about the gift, the cherry wood box with the ivory ribbon, the 3 envelopes that had